I was sitting in a classroom in Monterey, California at postgraduate school. And I usually got there early. And it was starting to occur to me that nobody was showing up, and I was wondering why. And then somebody walked by and saw me sitting there and stuck their head in and said, "We're under attack and the school's shutting down." And then a buddy of mine, a classmate that was in my course curriculum, walked in and heard the same thing. He was an Army guy, and it was a Tuesday, as everybody knows. So on Tuesdays at postgraduate school, we wear our dress uniform because there's usually a guest speaker in the afternoon that we go to the auditorium and listen to. So he had ridden his bike from pretty far away, and I drove that day because I was in whites. So I drove him home, and I remember I was in a Jeep, top was down, so we were pretty visible to people that we were driving around, and so people were honking at us as I dropped them off. And then when I got back to housing on base, they'd set up a checkpoint to get into housing, which is not normal, and we're checking IDs to make sure that people were coming in that were supposed to be there, and then we all kind of started watching TV. I don't think it changed my career or workplace at all. Before 9/11, I had done 3 years of sea duty in Norfolk. I had left my ship to go to postgraduate school a month prior to September 11th. So I didn't get to strike back or be a part of the hit back. My ship did. I had contact with my friends on the ship, and they were deployed and overseas when it happened, and so they were one of the first ships that got to empty their magazine into Afghanistan. So I remember regretting that, but it was a while before I was back on the waterfront. But I don't think it changed my career at all. For the Navy, for people that were in the Navy prior to 9/11, our September 11th was 11 months prior to September 11th. It was October 12th, 2000. USS Cole was a ship that I served with. So that was our wake up. So that was Al Qaeda, and that changed the way we did business immediately, profoundly, and kind of got our attention in the Navy as to what Al Qaeda was and the danger they presented. I think it's important to remember September 11th, 20 years, 30 years, however many years after, because it keeps it fresh in our mind, or at the forefront of our mind, of what we're doing when it comes to our nation's direction, our morals, our values, our priorities. I mean, at the end of the day, it's about the people who were directly affected by the events, the people that lost friends and family, the people whose buildings were destroyed, the people who were in the aftermath that had to react and then were casualties as a result of the reaction. So, for them, it's important to assure them that we haven't forgotten. Holistically, it's important to remember, just like all of our country's most significant events, is to understand what happened and what we did afterwards, and to review what we did and to make sure we did the right things. When I think about September 11th, and what we did after September 11th, I think hard about, World War II. This country, beat two formidable adversaries at the same time, remained occupied in those countries, and then helped those countries transform into responsible nations that are now our deepest allies. And I think in the war since World War II, we had that same thought, that we were righteous in what we did. We solved the problem, we defeated the tyranny, but then we tried to turn those folks into our allies, and just not all people on earth, or not all nations on earth are of that same mindset that they want to become allies or be transformed into a new nation. And I think understanding what led to that event and what we did, thinking about that helps us make decisions for the future when we want to react to acts of terror or acts of war.